Hello everyone, Crow back with another episode of The Crow Show. Let's jump right into it with pickups. Now, if you had an opportunity to see what I posted yesterday, that's the very first thing I'm going to mention, is I did get another pinball machine. It's kind of a mini pinball machine. It's about half the size of the one I already have, half the size of a standard one. My wife found it at Goodwill, actually, on Friday. And they actually wanted $100 for it, but she actually talked them down to $70 and got them to put it in her car for her. Yeah, it's that small. It actually fit in her car. I'll just put a link to that video if you're interested and haven't seen it already in this video. So I'm not going to talk about it too much here. Next thing I want to kind of show off is I actually had this before, and I forgot to show it in the last video. But that's this little guy, the angry video game nerd little doll guy. I saw a tweet from the nerd himself saying that they had these little plush figures available, and I went and bought one right away. They had one of him and Shit Pickle, and I don't even like Shit Pickle, so so I just got the nerd. He's kind of funny. He's got the power glove on his arm and everything. We just have him sitting up in our entertainment center in the living room, so that's pretty fun. Another thing that I originally wanted, but they sold out. As soon as it was released, it was sold out on thinkgeek.com. So I had them send me an email when they were more available, and got the email, ordered it right away, and that's this little guy here. It's one of the turrets. He won't shut up. One of the. Okay, you can't see anymore. There. It's the turret from Portal and Portal 2. He basically says the stuff that he says in the game. He's light activated and motion activated. So like when he sees something, he says the stuff. When you tilt him over, he should. Oh man. Let's see. I'm gonna drop him. He's got a. Oh man, he's not working. Let's see. Okay, now tilt over. Die. He shuts down. He does other stuff. I'm just not getting it to work, probably because of the lights. Okay. Okay, now work. There we go. That's better. Get over there. Another thing from Goodwill my wife picked up, this was actually the same time she got the pinball machine, was this U-Draw for the PS3. Now THQ has discontinued the U-Draw. They're not making any more stuff for it, but I guess she just wanted to pick it up because it was $9.99. And we have one for the Wii too, and we've actually never used it. We should do that sometime. Pictionary on that should be pretty fun, and we've never played it. Alright, Crow here, and I'm interrupting my own video because before I go any further in this video, and after I'd filmed it, I realized I wanted to show off one more thing, and it's an app for both the Android and the iPhone. And yesterday, the Pinball Arcade was released for both of those, and it was something I was looking forward to for quite some time. It's also going to be released on Xbox 360, PS3, the Vita, and possibly some other stuff. But if you're familiar with the Pinball Hall of Fame games, the Williams Collection and the Gottlieb Collection, this is by the same people who do those games. And basically the way it works is you download the program or the app for free, and you could play there's 4 tables out now, and you can play any of them for free, but it's like a demo version. You can only play up to a certain score, and you could buy the tables separately if you like them. Now I just went ahead and bought all 4 tables. What we're looking at here is the Theater of Magic, and I really like this. I'm also going to buy this on probably the PS3 whenever it becomes available, because I like those pinball collection games so much, because they're all pinball. It's a pinball game based on real pinball machines, and it's fun to play those. So I'm actually gonna I highly recommend it. It's free to download and try, And then the 4-table pack was about $10, I think. The prices of the actual tables themselves varied in price. There was Theater of Magic that's available now, the Black Hole, Ripley's Believe It or Not, and Tales of the Arabian Nights. So I really, really highly recommend, if you have an iOS device or an Android device, checking out this game. I really, really, really like it. So I'm actually gonna like turn up the volume so you can hear some of this stuff, and then we'll cut back to the original, where we left off in the original video. And last thing, here's a little story to go with it. Now, my wife, when she was asking me what I wanted for Christmas, I couldn't think of anything. I said, you know what, just reserve me a Vita for Christmas, and that way I'll have a Vita in February. Because, you know, I kind of wanted to go on hold for the 3DS for a while, see where that's going. And I wanted the Vita, especially since I heard a bunch of the games that are coming out for launch. So my wife, she went over to GameStop to finish, paying for all the, all the stuff, the Vita. That's all she reserved. But she wanted to reserve some games too, because she found out what games I wanted. So she went and she was able to reserve Touch My Katamari, I believe it was called. I can't even remember the name. The Katamari game and the Luminous game. But when she was there, they wouldn't let her reserve Wipeout 2048 and Hot Shots Golf World Invitational. This is at GameStop, by the way. And they were like, well, we can't, they wanted to reserve it to her. The guy there, he's like, oh, I'd like to reserve it, but the system doesn't let me reserve it because it says those games have shipped already. So this was before I got home from work. So I got home from work, we went out to dinner and stuff. And she was like, well, do you want to stop at GameStop because they have the Vita demo that you could play, the demo unit. I was like, yeah, why not? You could go over there and, do some other stuff too. So we went over to GameStop and I tried out the demo and everything. And here's the funny thing is that they had the Uncharted demo running. I switched it to the Hot Shots Golf demo. That was pretty cool. And then I switched it to the Wipeout 2048 demo, and I couldn't get it to pick what I wanted. I couldn't figure it. I was like, what is going on? Why isn't this working? Just, brief first impression of the Vita. Even though it's like locked into this cradle and, tethered to the wall, it still was pretty comfortable to hold. They didn't have the volume on, so I really was playing everything without any volume. But the buttons, the directional button is awesome. It is the most comfortable D-pad I think I've ever tried. The buttons, the face buttons, they are pretty small. They're smaller than I would have imagined. But I don't think it'll be that big of a problem in the long run. The shoulder buttons are almost exactly like they are on the original PSP. Well, all PSPs really. And the analog nubs are really small. They really do have a limited range. But I something I think you can get used to. Then the only games I really played at that point were Hot Shots Golf and the Uncharted one, and it seemed to be okay for those. But here's what's funny is just kind of skipping ahead. I was running around looking for a game that nobody had, so I went to GameStop. And I was like, oh yeah, because it occurred to me why I couldn't start the Wipeout 2048 demo. I wanted to try that out again. I totally forgot that the Vita had a touchscreen. I actually had to touch the options I wanted on the screen before the game would advance. So yeah, I got to play Wipeout 2048. The little analog nub was kind of difficult for a while, but halfway through the race, I got used to it. I actually came in first in the race I tried out, so I really don't think that nub is going to be a problem. But rewinding back to the story where we went back to GameStop, and I was like, well, let me see if I can reserve those games. So I said, I want to reserve these games because there was a different person there. I think it was actually the manager of the store. And she's like, oh, well, we should be able to reserve them, no problem. So she goes into the system. She's like, I can't reserve them because it says they shipped. And she's like, let me go back and see if we actually have them. And, well, she reserved the 2 games that, I'm all over the place now. She had reserved the 2 games, Luminous and Katamari. And what we couldn't reserve was Hot Shots Golf and Wipeout 2048. So she went back to see if they actually had them. She comes walking out with them. Yes, we do have them. I wonder if we can sell these now. And she looked in the system. She's like, well, they don't have a street date attached to them. Yeah, goodbye. We don't have a street date attached to them. So, I'll just sell them right now. So she sold us. So I have right now Wipeout 2048 and Hot Shots Golf World Invitational, even though I'm not getting the Vita to the 22nd, which is a week and a half from now. Now, I did open these up to check out what was inside. Little bit of a disappointment. There's a good thing. There's one good thing. The good thing is that the cases themselves aren't full of holes like the 3DS cases. So I think that's really crappy. Put full holes and whatever. So you have the game here, the little card. It's I'm gonna say it's a little bit, it's a different shape than the 3DS or the DS cards, but I want to say it's about a little bit bigger than an SD card. But here's what's disappointing about it. One, there's no instruction booklet. I don't think any of the Vita games are gonna have instruction booklets. I don't know if they've announced that they're not gonna have booklets for them, but there's no booklet in this. The second thing, and this was probably announced and I was unaware of it, is that both this game and this game have online pass activation codes, meaning that if you want to buy a Vita game used, you'll probably have to buy the game used and then buy an online pass if you want to play the game online, which is kind of, crappy in some way, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. I don't know how many Vita games, at the start, you're not going to be really buying any Vita games used. Maybe in a year or so, Vita games, will be cheap enough to, where, like they're $10 a piece or something like that. Well, then you'll be buying the game for $10, and then you'll have to spend, I don't know how much for an online pass since that's already been used. And I think it's just, Sony, and Sony's been doing that already. I think EA's been doing that with their games. And it's just a way for them to combat the used game market, I think. Kind of sucks, but I can see where they're going with it. So it's honestly, a lot of the games that I haven't even played online, so I've never even used the online pass yet. So I wonder if those things expire. Anyway, now I mentioned that I went back to GameStop, and long story short, I was looking for Resident Evil Revelations. That game is sold out at the 3 stores that I went to. But I was thinking, you know what, I'm going to need a memory card for the Vita when I get it. And they might have the memory cards. I could just get one now, not have to worry about nobody having any when the system was released. Because I don't know if you remember back when the PS2 was launched. I couldn't get a PS2 memory card for a couple days after that system was launched. Because nobody had them. So I was thinking originally I'd get the 8 gig memory card. Because I was thinking, well, that would be plenty because... it would be plenty because I don't plan on downloading the games. I plan on buying them on the shelves. There might be a couple of downloadable only games I might want to get. So I was like, oh, the 8 gig one will be good. That's like $35, I guess. That's a nice price, whatever. And then I was thinking, well, maybe I should go double that. Maybe I should go to the 16 gig one, and that one's like $60. And the only price I didn't know was the price of the 32 gig one. So I went there and I asked them if they had the Resident Evil game. They didn't. They had a shipment coming in, but they didn't have any. And I asked him, well, how much is the 32 gig one? And he's like, well, it's $100. And I'm thinking, well, if you buy two 16 gig cards, that'd be $120. And are these prices overpriced? Yeah, they are. But what are you going to do? If you want the memory card, you've got to pay the price because since Sony did a proprietary format. And you know what they're doing? They're trying to recoup some of the loss that they're selling the PS Vita for. And if you could kind of not blame them. That way they come out with the system. Hey, it's only $250, which back when they announced that price point, the 3DS was $250. So you got so they could come out marketing and say, hey, it's the same price. What they don't tell you is, hey, but you got to buy a memory card too. In fact, I didn't mention it, but both these games, Hot Shots Golf and Wipeout 2048, have a logo on there that says memory card required. So. Or memory required. So you can't even play these games without the Vita memory card. So I got the memory. So I was like, okay, well, I asked them, okay, can I reserve a 16 gig memory card? He's like, we can't reserve them because they've already been shipped. So I was like, oh, they've already been shipped. So you have them in the store right now. And he looks, he's like, no, actually our store didn't get any 16 gig memory stick. I'm like, well, what do you have? And he's like, actually I didn't even ask him that. He just said, we have the 4 gig one, and we have one 32 gig one. And I thought, was like, you know what? Screw it. I'll buy the 32 gig one for $100 because I actually get pretty good at not spending money this month so far. So, so he goes back, he pulls it out. I got the 32 gig memory card. That thing is tiny. 32 gig. So I'll just leave that in there. So that's my story. It's like kind of weird how I can be buying all this stuff for the Vita a week and a half. Actually, it was 2 weeks. 2 weeks before I'm getting the Vita, I got these games. So kind of funny. And I guess if I really wanted to play the Vita, I could go to GameStop and play it. Anyway, wow, that was a long rambling. I'm not going to go any further on anything else. I just want to do a shout out. I'm going to shout out Waspray's channel. Now, Waspray is I've been following Waspray for a while. He does video games. He does like a lot of movies now, DVD reviews and stuff. That's what he's focusing on now. He's also into wrestling. So I'm not so much into wrestling, but anybody else who's into wrestling, he does talk about that too. But the real reason I'm shouting out his channel now is because he's the one that won Marlon Lee's contest to see who gets the giraffe clock. So, in the future, actually, I skipped something there. He's got another personality on the show other than himself. The Upset Luchador sometimes shows up on this channel, and he's worth watching. And I think it was the Upset Luchador that actually submitted his entry to win the item and the giraffe clock. So it may be actually the Upset Luchador on Waspray's channel that's getting the giraffe clock. And if that is actually happening, then you must if you're into the giraffe clock, you've got to take a look at Waspray's channel and subscribe and keep an eye out on what wackiness may ensue, or we might all be doomed because of the direct. Anyway, yes, I think I will end it right there.